Dana, tonight we've been talking a lot about those rivers and just how high they've gotten. It looks like some have crested tonight, but more are likely to crest tomorrow morning.
Most of the Kennebec ones, gauges have crested at this point, but it doesn't mean that the water is going to recede right away. And some areas in the Androscoggin River have not yet crested, are not likely to do so early tomorrow morning. So it's going to be a long couple of days of cleanup coming up. But the good news is that the weather is going to be relatively calm over the next couple of days, which is going to allow for a lot of cleanup to take place. Most of this system has moved offshore at this point, and the radar is going to be relatively quiet over the next couple of days. In fact, we aren't going to have much to talk about weather-wise over the next couple of days, really until we get into almost next week. However, we do still have those flood warnings in effect for the Kennebec and Androscoggin rivers, especially because even though the Kennebec River has crested at this point, which means it's reached its highest point in terms of water levels, the water isn't going to recede right away. So there are going to still be some issues with flooding, and especially with the Androscoggin River closer to Lewiston, which has not yet crested. There's going to be some flooding issues around this area, and some places have been asked to evacuate. So it's very important to heed those road closures and evacuations, because flood water, especially overnight, but in general, is always very, very dangerous. We are expecting the Androscoggin River at Auburn to crest early in the day tomorrow at around the 20-foot mark, and this is in the section of moderate flooding. But overall, a lot of the flooding with this has been very, very dangerous and has caused a lot of issues. So the water will recede over the next couple of days, which will allow us to start cleaning up. And the good news is that the weather is going to be calm and dry. That's going to allow the water to recede. Low temperatures tonight, though. A lot of us are going to drop below freezing tonight, so that is just kind of something to watch, especially in the northern mountains, where we are going to be in the teens overnight tonight. But over the next couple of days, as I mentioned, the weather is going to be very, very quiet. So the hour-by-hour forecast is going to kind of look the same over the next couple of days. The only main difference is that as we get into Wednesday and Thursday especially, it's going to kind of switch to this pattern where we're going to be much, much colder during the day. So Thursday morning in the teens and the 20s, only really getting into the lower 30s and upper 20s as we get into midday on Thursday. And then we're going to kind of stay in this cool but sunny pattern as we go into the weekend as well. And we don't really have any precipitation to talk about until we get into next week. So that's very good for cleanup, like I mentioned. Now, we are going to turn much colder after a small front moves through over the next couple of days. There's not going to be any precipitation with it, but it's going to change our wind direction. So Thursday and Friday especially are going to be the coldest days of this stretch. As we get into the weekend, we'll start to warm up a little bit, and then we're watching for the chance of some precipitation next Tuesday night into Wednesday. So it is going to be a while before we see some more rain coming in, which is good news. Seas, we have 4 to 10 feet, and we are still going to be gusting to 30 knots. So we have a gale watch in effect until Friday at 4 a.m. So there isn't a whole lot to talk about. Like I mentioned, over the next couple of days, a lot of sunshine icons. So we're going to be able to get out and do some cleanup. I do want to mention that it is going to be a little bit breezier on Thursday, but we'll only be gusting to 30 to 35 miles per hour as opposed to earlier this week, Zach, when we were gusting much, much higher than that. That caused a lot of damage. So we're not looking at damaging winds on Thursday, just a little bit breezy out there, which might have some impacts with kind of restoring power. But over the next couple of days, Zach, we are going to be able to kind of relax a little bit, do some cleanup, and restore some power.
Sounds good. A lot of people having a tough start to the holiday season, though.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Dana.